can you guess what one of the most underrated factors for something that impacts our health with our relationships, our mental health, our physical health, weight gain, how we feel about just ourselves in general? Well, we're talking about sleep health today, and we've got the perfect person to talk about it. Diane Macedo, she's an anchor at ABC News, joins us there, fresh off the set in New York City, and also the author of The Sleep Fix. And she joins us now on Your Day with Anna Koyman. How are you? Great to see you again.
Hi, Anna. Great to see you, too.
So I guess I knew you when we were working at the network together, when you were starting to become a bit of an insomniac, right? We both had really strange schedules. We'd have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night sometimes and rush to breaking news then the next day, and it had us all out of whack. But it really impacted you in ways that it wasn't impacting everybody else. So tell your story.
So for 7 years, I would go to bed and try to fall asleep and stare at the ceiling for God knows how long. And then I would often wake up in the middle of the night and then take a really long time to fall back asleep, if I fell back asleep at all. And because I work in news, my hours, as you said, were pretty strange, you know, going in at 3 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. Having a complete overnight schedule where I was going in at 11 p.m. and leaving at 9 o'clock in the morning and then sleeping during the day. And so I always thought that my sleep issues were normal, especially given my schedule. And it was only until they got so bad that I really couldn't ignore and just endure them anymore that I went to my doctor. And she also just attributed it to my schedule, convinced me to take sleeping pills, and called it a day. And for a while, those pills worked like magic. And then one day they just stopped working. And my doctor's only recommendation was for me to take more sleeping pills. And so I kind of decided right then and there that I would have to find a better way.
Welcome to medicine in America, right?
It's
just take a pill, take a pill.
My schedule. It was, you know, I had a sleep problem that so many other people have, and that is completely fixable.
Right, okay, but it goes a lot beyond just what we would see online. 10 tips to make you be able to fall asleep at night, right? It really goes a bit deeper, a layer deeper, and you're on a campaign not just to tell the world about it, but really to make some change and get doctors even to start learning about sleep health more. Through your research in creating this book, what did you find out? What did you notice?
It was actually a primary care physician who encouraged me to write the book to begin with, because she said, I have so many patients coming in complaining of sleep, and I just don't really know the best way to help them, because it's an area of study that we don't, get a whole lot of. And when I looked into it, I found that in 4 years of medical school, the average medical school spends 2 hours on sleep. And so, that's why I had the experience that I had, and so many other people do as well. And so what you'll often get from your doctor is either sleeping pills, like mine gave me, or your standard sleep hygiene type recommendations. Things like limiting caffeine after a certain time of day, swearing off screens at night, having a proper bedtime routine. And I tried all of it, and I just found I was getting worse and worse and worse. And I sort of by accident stumbled on something called CBTI, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. And what I found is that's actually the recommended gold standard treatment for insomnia. The second someone comes in and says they're having trouble falling asleep, trouble staying asleep, that's what your doctor is supposed to be recommending, but most don't even know that and don't know that they should be referring someone to a sleep specialist at that point.
Okay.
And so I started interviewing researchers, sleep researchers and sleep clinicians, and they all kind of said, we have been trying to shout this stuff from the rooftops. And what I found is just by reading about CBTI, I was supposed to go ahead and do it with a provider, but just by reading about some of these techniques and developing some of my own to adjust to kind of my real life circumstances, I fixed my own sleep problems while still working the overnight shift within 3.5 weeks.
3 to 3.5 weeks. And now you've come up with a formula, and you also have a program, a digital course that people can do with you as well at thesleepfix.com. So folks can go there. But I love how your reporter hat came on and you just said, I'm going to figure this out. And I'm not just going to figure it out for me, I'm going to figure it out for everybody else as well. So you pitched to the producers doing a sleep test. What all did that entail?
I did. So after that whole bit of my doctor, encouraging me to take sleeping pills and me saying, okay, no more, I got to find a better way. I went to my producers and I said, listen, I'm going on a mission to fix my sleep. Do you want me to document it? I'm essentially going to try to find a doctor who will put me through a sleep boot camp, so to speak. And whatever they tell me to do, I will do. And by coincidence, I happened to sit next to a sleep doctor at an event, a speaking event, just a couple of weeks later. And so I talked to him about it, and he said that he was in. And so I went ahead and he gave me an at-home sleep apnea test. And he gave me this thing called the Sleep Profiler, which analyzes your sleep cycles. But my schedule got thrown off that very same day because I had to do a standby shift for Good Morning America. And so he said, you don't have sleep apnea, but you're getting such little and such disconnected sleep that the sleep cycle analyzer, it's basically not readable, the results. And so generally, he would have recommended me for CBTI right then and there, but I wanted to show the full process to the viewers. And so he said, all right, well, get yourself back to your normal, 3-5 hours, whatever you normally get, and we'll come back and then we'll do the therapy. And so in that process, I wanted to read up on what the scientific solutions are for insomnia so that I was prepared once I started doing that therapy. And in reading about this stuff, some of it seems so simple and so practical that I kind of tried it in sort of an ad hoc fashion, again, to be tailored to my needs, my busy lifestyle, my strange schedule, and so on. And to my surprise, when he then tested me again 3.5 weeks later, I wasn't just back to my normal 3 to 5 hours. I was getting a full night's sleep in the middle of the day while working the overnight shift. And so that's when I realized how effective this stuff was. And not only was that part surprising, but so much of it was completely counter to everything I had learned before, all those sleep hygiene recommendations that I had been trying all that time.
Okay, well, I want you to give us a few clues as to what's inside your course in just a second. But first, can we backtrack a little bit and just talk about how rotten you must have been feeling? I mean, we've all had those days and nights where we haven't had much sleep for a while, especially if you're a new mom, you're blurry-eyed trying to figure out how to get through the day even. But I mean, this was going on for 7 years for you. What were some of the things you were going through emotionally even?
So I had dry eyes. I had chronic acid reflux. I felt hyper, but also tired all the time. And my mind felt foggy, like it was difficult to focus. The interesting part is that I didn't realize how bad I felt until I started feeling better. It was almost like it became normal to me. Like I thought that this is just how I'm supposed to feel. Yeah. And so it wasn't until I started fixing my sleep that all these symptoms went away, and I realized, oh wow, like one, not only is this how awake I'm actually supposed to feel, and I realized how tired and sleepy I had been all that time, but also the fact that, your eyes aren't supposed to ache all day, and you're not supposed to have acid reflux all the time, and all those other symptoms that I had never actually attributed to my sleep until I fixed it.
Yeah, you probably thought it was maybe nutrition or something that was going on with your blood type, or who knows the places and rabbit holes you probably went down on Google, and all you had to do was fix your sleep, which you've been able to do.
Exactly.
Can you give us a few little clues as to what's inside your book and what's inside the course?
So I think a lot of it is myth busting and then providing the real explanation for what's happening and some of those evidence-based solutions to fix it. So for example, people will often tell you that if you are having trouble sleeping, that you need to sleep in, nap, or go to bed early in order to make up for that sleep loss. In order to get those recommended 8 hours of sleep. But in truth, sleep needs vary from person to person, and they can vary pretty dramatically. Most people will need somewhere between 7 and 9 hours, but you can fall anywhere, adults can fall anywhere between 5 and 11 hours of sleep. And so what that means is, to someone who is trying desperately to get 8 hours of sleep, if you're actually a 6 or a 7 hour person and you spend an extra hour in bed that doesn't actually meet your sleep need, you will give yourself insomnia. And I didn't know that.
Me neither.
And on the flip side, there are also a lot of people walking around who think they sleep well because they get their recommended 8 hours, not realizing that, what I call secret sleep disorders, that something is disrupting their sleep while they are sleeping. And so they may actually walk around feeling sleepy all day long, but they think, oh, I'm a great sleeper. I'm out within 5 seconds of hitting the pillow and I get my full 8, 9, 10 hours, whatever it is. And little do they know, they actually have a really dangerous, in some cases, sleep disorder. So I try to encourage people right off the bat to not focus so much on these specific targets, but rather to focus on how they feel. Right. And to keep a diary to show how they're feeling day to day, because your energy levels and how you feel during the day and how you feel when you wake up in the morning and whether or not you're actually sleepy when you go to bed, those are much better readings for how much sleep you need and how much sleep you're actually getting versus just trying to watch the clock and see how many hours you're getting.
Yeah. I think it's great what you're doing. From memory, you put all of this together before kids, right? Our kids are about the same age. Mine are 3 and 5. Yours are what, 2 and 5 or something, right? Mm-hmm. So you put this together before having kids. How were you impacted in that newborn phase, and how did what you learned help you?
So it was interesting how long it took me to put these things back into practice, because I fixed my insomnia before I had my first child. But then once I had the baby, and I was waking up with the baby a lot overnight, I started thinking that it was normal that I was still waking up even when the baby was sleeping through the night, because it just, I don't know, I'd always heard that that was normal. And, I felt like, okay, well, I got used to waking up overnight with him, so now my body just has to get used to sleeping through the night again. But it had been weeks, and I was still waking up a ton overnight. And once I started implementing these practices again, adjusting, my room temperature and doing some practices that help to calm my racing mind, because one of my big problems is I would lay in bed and it was like all of a sudden my brain just turned on. Once I started implementing these practices again, I started sleeping through the night again immediately. Mm-hmm. And all I could think was, one, relief, but also part of me just thought, idiot, you should know better. You are the sleep expert.
Get out your book.
And here you are, just accepting this stuff. So I think a lot of us, whether it's a real schedule or whether you, have children, I think so many of us just accept sleep problems as inevitable. And sometimes we think that it's something ingrained in us, that this is just how we're built, when really so much of these problems are actually fixable with the right tools, whether it's because you go to bed and you feel like your mind is racing, or you feel like you're sleepy and awake at all the wrong times. So many of these problems have a really easy, straightforward scientific explanation and some really great practical evidence-based solutions to fix them.
Yeah, and a lot of us also just realize if we're struggling with something, people are getting on our nerves, whatever the issue is, we're like, I just need a nap. And you can fix so much, right? But it's really hard when you're in your position where you physically can't fall asleep. So great tips for everybody, but really shift workers and things would probably really appreciate this as well. If they do join your course, what do they get? Is there any sort of group or anything where they can get some extra support?
Yeah, so all the information is at sleepfixmethod.com. That's my website. And with the course comes, it's 5 modules. It will walk you through the entire program step by step. But in addition to getting all of these how-tos and tutorials, there are lots of tools in the course to kind of help keep you on track along the way. We also have a private Facebook group where every course student gets direct access to me and my team and other fellow students. So if you want to talk to people who understand what you're going through and you just kind of want to vent, or if you have questions or how to tailor a technique to your specific needs, maybe they're a little bit unique, I will be there to walk you through every step of the way. And right. So that was kind of my addition to the book. I got so many responses to the Sleep Fix from people saying that the book changed their life, but I also got a lot of questions and people wondering about their specific circumstances. And so I felt like it was my, this was my ability. I felt like this was my way of creating a more streamlined process for people to know that if their problem is that they have trouble falling asleep or trouble staying asleep, they wake up overnight and it takes them a long time to fall back asleep, that this course is specific for that problem, and they will have me walking them through step by step the whole way.
Yeah, great deal. Okay, well, Diane Macedo, thank you so much. Again, ABC News anchor and mom of 2, busy working mama of 2. Also, I should have you sing or something while you're here too. I remember you have the most amazing pipes. I'm just now remembering it. You'd sing in our Christmas special and things too. Do you sing to your kids at night?
I do sing to my kids, yeah, and I haven't performed in a long time, but it is on my list of things to get back to at some point in the middle of everything else.
Oh, well, I won't put you on the spot, but I'm sure we could probably dig out a video somewhere for that as well.
We'll do some karaoke one day.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be fun. Okay, well, great to see you. Thanks so much. And all of you, while you're here, make sure you check out her book and also her course, and also hit that notification bell so you find out when we release our next Your Day with Anna Koyman video. Diane, thanks so much. See you soon.
Anna, thanks for having me.
Bye.